Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yuri Folari, and my guest this morning is, well, in the first instance, Dr. Tui Mebanwadu, public health expert. And I was looking at my phone. Sorry you caught me out there, because I was checking about Dr. Mebanwadu, and because I was a bit surprised that he's here. Evidently, the Saudi application thing, what's with that? Doctor, you are not involved?
No, in the pipeline.
No, it's not a joke, doctor, because
we need to.
That was a bit distressing, the picture we saw. But we could hear the doctors. We could hear the doctors yesterday. Some of them spoke on one video that I saw. You might have seen it yourself. And there was this lady doctor who said her own teacher in medical school, when she arrived at the shall I call it the test center, because they were screening
the recruitment center.
The recruitment center in Abuja. And she said her former teacher in medical school was the first person that she saw. And then you heard the tales of, if you had seen that particular video, you would have seen the tales of woes. So I was a bit concerned when I was told that Dr. Tui Mebanwadu will be joining us. I said, are you sure he's in Lagos? Because he might have done a quick trip to Abuja. Okay, jokes apart, we just hope, because what the doctors, this was not any propaganda or anything like that. It means some of the doctors are actually seeing it as, I'm through with all of this. And it's a bit unfortunate. Hopefully, things can be done so that more doctors don't take that particular route. And that Saudi Arabia is brazen, quote unquote, enough to come in here and, as a friend of mine said, cherry pick our best medical brains. Well, in fact, he even blamed Dr. Ngige for that. He said this particular incident, he will blame Dr. Ngige. Oh, well, there's serious business afoot. So thank you very much, as I said, for joining me this morning, Dr. Mebanwadu. Lagos State is resuming its COVID vaccination. You might have suspected that there's going to be some health matter that we're going to be talking about once we have our public health expert in the house. And the governor has been saying a number of things that that are in the news. For instance, he's been saying that there are about 1,000 deaths in the past couple of weeks, due to the Delta variant. And then, very distressingly, he also added the information that some travelers who had come into Lagos from what are called red alert countries had simply absconded from, the isolation, the whole isolation protocol that they had to do. Now, how worrying is that? Because you doctors have told us that you don't joke with it. You don't joke with any, but in particular, this virus here from somebody used to joke from Delta State. It's not Delta State. There's no state. It's just Delta. So let people not add Delta State virus. There is no such thing. It's the Delta virus. But seriously, doctor, escaping from those places.
Not to sound like a broken record, we've said here over time and time that we won't be able to do the necessary screening at the port of entry. I've said that here, that we won't be able to do necessary screening. We won't be able to impose non-pharmaceutical interventions to reduce the spread of the virus. That will be too difficult for us. And as such, the only thing left for us is to look for vaccine anyhow and deploy those vaccines. Well, after saying that, we saw initially the 4 million doses of Moderna, which has been given 2 doses, and then about 117,000 doses. You mean for the second?
Oh, you're talking about the second now. Okay.
Been given, Johnson & Johnson been given to Nigeria. And then we are now faced with the challenge of also deploying those vaccines in an equitable and accessible manner. Okay? So, and then, whereas, while waiting for that to be deployed, because it took some time, we saw the rising number of cases of COVID-19. We saw the rising number of deaths from COVID-19. We saw the populace that has been so recalcitrant, refusing to obey simple pharmaceutical interventions, non-pharmaceutical interventions to combat the COVID. And then, well, we are at that point now. Whereas, say, okay, after some delay, it's supposed to kick off today, the vaccine. And then one of the key requirements is such that you have to go online and put your name down, register, and pick a place.
Indeed.
To get the vaccine.
Indeed, we will come to that. But don't forget, Doctor, I had asked you about the governor's information that people that should have gone into isolation because they were coming from so-called red alert countries, they had been so identified. The governor made the point that they simply absconded, was his word.
Who is supposed to impose the isolation? Who is supposed to ensure that they are in isolation?
Well,
who is supposed to monitor them in isolation?
It was supposed to be voluntary, right? The isolation was supposed to be voluntary based on
voluntary? Who is going to take that? Where is that going to be obeyed? In every country that has to confront this challenging issue of COVID-19, there are measures put in place to ensure that, because you cannot be so sure that human beings, if you give them a mind, they won't take thousands. So there's a means to ensure that they comply for that number of days. Okay? So if you leave that to their own whims and caprices, then why are you now complaining that they absconded? Because some of these things, when we say we don't know that we are indicting ourselves indirectly, it shows that our ability to manage the public health space is compromised, even as government. Because if you now come back and tell me that those people that absconded, am I the one to go and start looking for them? Okay, what measure did you put in place ab initio to ensure that? Because again, these guys came into the airport, okay, and then they have their biodata, they have everything. Somebody have their data and where they are residing, and of course, there must have been a proper thing put in place to ensure that they comply.
Yes,
with the isolation.
They were supposed to self-isolate.
Yes, how do you manage self-isolation? Do you just wake up and say, go and self-isolate? Even, where do you, without actually imposing and ensuring that this thing is done, why are you now complaining? Yeah. And that's why, for instance, I like the decision of the Edo State governor, who says that, listen, guys, if you're not taking vaccines, don't come to church, don't come to mosque, don't do party. Stay in your house.
From the second week of next month.
Yes, stay in your house. If you're not taking the vaccine,
in Edo State,
I don't want to see you in the
regime.
public space.
Yeah.
And then if you're not showing the card, I don't want to see in public space, because you cannot then refuse to take the vaccine and then compromise people that took the vaccines and then compromise my own public health measures. So now, if your government is telling me...
But those people that we are calling vaccine skeptics are also pleading their own, we don't have a Fifth Amendment, but they are pleading their own right, which is a situation because, as you know, you cannot be compelled in Nigeria to take the vaccine. I don't even think you can be compelled anywhere. So even in the US, in the UK, people are appealing. They're appealing to citizens.
You cannot be compelled to take the vaccines. It is your choice. But as much as it is your choice, other people also have rights.
Indeed.
And if it's your choice, don't take the vaccine, but stay home. Why must you attend party? Is that a compulsory thing for you to be in a party? Must you be in church or mosque? If you want to join online and enjoy your church or mosque service, as the case may be.
Yeah.
But it's just like somebody telling me that, look, when it's okay, there's a rule that says that, guys, if you don't know your HIV status, use a protection before you make love. And somebody said that, listen, it's my right, I can't use.
Well.
And then you now transfer the thing to another person and compromise public health. It's just like somebody also having some disease that, okay, because those days, isolation is not limited to COVID, even tuberculosis, smallpox, and all the sorts. It's a public health measure to ensure that we protect the maximum number of people. Now, if you're claiming right to that, yes, you have right to your right. But where your rights end, some other people don't start. You cannot then compromise those other people who chose to say, wait a minute, I am going to behave properly and ensure that I protect the public, and then you now say that, listen, I have which amendment? If you get amendment, go and stay in your home and get amended there. Simple.
Okay, let me just amend the figures. I sort of crossed them. What the governor said was that 135 people had died since this, they've been killed by COVID-19 in Lagos since the third wave of the pandemic struck 2 weeks ago. But 1,000 travelers from red-listed COVID-19 countries who came into Lagos have absconded. Now, because we're now dealing with the Delta variant, and people, I don't know, I don't even know if it's half and half. Some people are firm believers and have said they are going ahead, but because of all the conspiracy theories out there, and the theorists, and social media, I don't know if you saw a feature on Sunday in the Nation newspaper. There was this, feature on what Nigerians think of COVID-19. So they did a survey. And what came out of this survey, according to the paper and the reporter, was that many people don't believe, well, let me just say some. Let me say some people, because some people believe, some people don't believe. So some people are saying they don't believe that COVID-19 is real. Yes, that the people who were doing the survey found that out. Then there are those who say that, having listened to social media, they would rather stay apart. And I think the other one was that many people are waiting to see. Let other people go and take the vaccine, and then when we see that all is well, then we will consider it. So I guess whether we like it or not, I don't know the extent to which we can take firmer measures, because right now we are being as democratic as we have to be. Nobody can be compelled to take the vaccine. Scientists like you, medical people like you, keep on telling us the dangers, but there are still too many people that are turning their nose up at the idea. And if 1,000 people in Lagos alone absconded, having arrived from a red alert COVID-19 country, so we're dealing with the Delta variant, and the Delta variant, you have explained to us already how virulent and very, very catching it is, and how it is very, very quick acting. I wonder, isn't that a cause for concern? If you have 1,000 people, we don't know their status. We hope they're okay. You said it from the beginning, but you've put the blame squarely on government's door, that people are not going to do the right thing just because it is the right thing, right?
Obviously. Again, because what we're expecting is that there must have been a clear protocol for monitoring self-isolation. You can't just say self-isolation and walk away. There must be a clear-cut protocol. Here we are, you have a lot of health workers or even security setups that can actually ensure that they know what is possible is this. Even in some other country, as we are coming in from those red alert countries, what you do is that they warehouse you in a certain center or an hotel. You pay your fee for that 14 days. The government needn't pay for you.
The Lagos one is even 7 days.
Yes, okay, for that 7 days. Okay, you pay your fee in that hotel because you're coming in. Okay, now there's a monitoring system to ensure that you guys, if you want to run around in that hotel for the next 7 days.
Yeah.
So now if you leave them to go to their houses, okay, to enter the lift wherever they like, and go to market whenever they like,
do the responsible
what thing. Do you expect now?
What
do you expect?
But to be fair, government wasn't leaving them to go do all those things. Government, no doubt, would have read them their obligation, and they somehow expected that they would do the necessary. Anyhow, let's take a quick break, by which I mean not so much go away, but take this background report prepared by Doja Salam Adeni.
The test positivity rate, which measures how many tests are returning positive, is growing in number. Out of every 100 tests conducted, 12 returned positive, compared to 1.1% at the end of June 2021 and 7% at the end of July 2021. Also, in this third wave alone, 135 deaths have been recorded. These have emerged on account of non-adherence to the laid-down health protocols.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
And that is why Governor Sanwo-Olu is not keeping quiet. One of the major pillars of the state's mitigation strategy for the third wave is vaccination.
From Wednesday on the 25th. We'll commence the vaccination at over 150 centers across the state. We also ensure that administration of this vaccine is based solely on appointments. The registration can be done online using the federal government vaccination portal, which is at nphcda.vaccination.gov.ng.
Lagos State has received its allocation of 299,992 doses of the Moderna vaccine on the 18th of August and set to roll out. No doubt that the confidence of people over the vaccination have dropped drastically due to reports that some fully vaccinated people have not just contracted the virus but have reportedly died. But Governor Sanwo-Olu maintained that vaccinations plays a critical role of life-saving and to fight COVID-19.
In everything, there will still be a 0.something%, that will be off the track. And that's the kind of thing that we've noticed, right? So, and it's everywhere in the world. But we've seen, especially, and the data is there to prove that in countries where they've done extensive vaccination, the amount of positivity has gone down significantly.
Mr. Governor emphasized that passengers from red-listed countries like India, South Africa, Brazil, and Turkey are still required to observe a mandatory isolation. The Moderna vaccine is a two-dose vaccine, just like the AstraZeneca that was deployed during the first phase of vaccination. Now, people that have taken AstraZeneca as their first jabs cannot mix it up with Moderna as their second jab. Vaccination remains free in Nigeria. The Lagos State government's goal is to vaccinate 60% of its residents in good time. Adedoja Salam Adeniyi, TVC News, Lagos.
Okay, thank you very much, Adedoja Salam Adeniyi. And as you just said there, we started the program based on the fact that Lagos is indeed launching today its second phase. The red-listed countries, we saw them there, India, South Africa, Turkey, Brazil, and so the 1,000 people must have come from that particular group of countries. And they have now, sort of, I don't know if disappeared is the word, even before this, there were people who were trying to escape because they just didn't like the whole idea as they saw it of being cooped up in those, what are those centers that were set up for observation all over the place. But in any case, 150 centers have been set up according to, as the governor was saying in there. Part of the reason for this, if not the only reason, is to avoid a situation where there will be too many people. And by the way, that reminds me, the doctors no less that I saw yesterday on the video in Abuja applying to go to South Africa to try their luck. I don't know that they had the distance that we talk about, but let me not digress. If you want, you can comment on that one later on. 150 centers. The idea is that so that there won't be crowds and further infringe on the protocols. 150 centers, which means you probably have to go register. That's how you have to go and set up an appointment. How do you think this is going to go, Doctor?
Again, let's get it straight. The COVID vaccine is a critical resource. It's scarce, okay? It's not abundant. It has to be deployed rapidly, okay? And
because of the temperature issue.
And then, within a very short period, you have to and then, the critical challenge is this, over internet. Because when you say your registrations, it presupposes that you are aware that the internet penetration in Nigeria is that high. It means that you are aware that digital literacy in Nigeria and digital technology in Nigeria is very high. You're also, assuming that the smartphone ownership in Nigeria is that high, because you need a smartphone to do all those registration. And then when you look at this data and you look at all these things I've mentioned, obviously there's going to be a challenge in terms of equity in the distribution of the vaccines.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Okay, and access to that vaccine. So by such proclamation that you can only get this thing by an appointment, having registered on a certain website, it means that if you don't have smartphone, if you are not internet savvy, then that means that you cannot get the vaccine. Well, it's nice for you to state that. I'm not going to quarrel with that for now. Wait. I'm not going to quarrel with that. But the point is that those people that may not have those kind of access, what are you doing for them? Is there an offline registration? Are there people to help them to register? Because you see, we shouldn't stay in a city center and be assuming that every part of Nigeria, every part of Lagos is a city center.
You know,
that's very, very faulty.
We had hoped
that's a very faulty premise. And then what you're going to get
the person who
is a challenge of equity and access for those people that are so disadvantaged. Now, you're talking about registering old people, okay? The majority of them don't have access to smartphones, which we know. Once you move away from the city center in Lagos, yes, the elderly, they don't have. When you move to the city center, away from the city center in Lagos State, you don't have internet access. It's compromised. So now, how do you then deal with those people? This should be the conversation we should have from beginning.
Will it be an oversimplification, Doctor, if I were to say that we managed to power through, deal with one way or the other, the whole matter of internet banking and the card, and many old people, many senior citizens, you know, they have cards for their accounts. Somehow, with assistance, even in the last one, the first phase of AstraZeneca, there were some people in the class that you are concerned about that were helped by their children. I guess,
you know, let's remember very well the first rollout. This thing was stated. At the end of the day, people went to the center because it was not working. But we should be able to pick lessons and learn from this. It wasn't working. People had to go to the center
but Doctor,
and then pre-register there and then probably giving up. So again, what I'm saying is that,
can you think of an alternative? Because the numbers are such that I imagine government has very little option in this day and age in the face of the emergency that this COVID issue is. The
alternative is simply this: create offline registration. Create a third party that can sit and help people to register in those environments.
Okay, because an offline registration, I'm going to point out, will cause crowds.
You know, offline registration, even do a pre-registration that can ensure triaging. Now, in the past, we've deployed polio vaccines and eradicate polio without an online registration. Even now, we give drugs.
Yes.
Like, for instance, a TB patient has access to his drugs wherever he is.
But recall, Doctor, that those are not pandemic situations.
That's what I'm saying. Without necessarily having to go online to register. If you are dealing with a country that is having that kind of low internet penetration, that the ownership of smartphone is so low, that the network is erratic, okay? Now, tell you what, even before coming here, I wanted to try and see how this portal works. The 3 centers are just closed. Because after you put
all your portals that you tried.
No, after you put your name, you put all your data. They say check the availability. There's a button you press, check the availability. When I press and check the availability, they say this place is closed. I tried the second one. We did the same local government. This one is closed. 3 closed. So now you are telling me I have all these centers, and even me that have internet knowledge, I'm facing that kind of problem. The challenge of equity and access will always be there.
Speak, and before you continue,
unless you create alternative methods for these people to also register.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if Lagos State government hadn't, already thought about some of these challenges.
Let's hear them.
So we had really hoped that we'd be able to speak with Professor Akin Abayomi. Is it Dr. or Professor Akin Abayomi?
He's a prof.
Professor Akin Abayomi, Commissioner for Health in Lagos State. But today being the launch day, between him and the governor, I imagine they'll have to be at some sites. But Tony in Australia has called in, as I said. But the way we were told it yesterday when we started trying to contact Professor Abayomi was that it's not an impossibility. So he just might, we might be able to speak with him and put some of these issues to him. Now, a call coming in from Australia. Tony, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much. I'm fine, thank you.
Look, I just want to congratulate you because you've made me to be an addict of TYC now, watching your TM every day.
TVC.
Now, the question is,
not TYC,
hello?
TVC.
TVC.
Okay.
Now, look, the question is, I thank God that COVID-19 didn't affect Nigeria the way it affected us. We here in Melbourne, we've been locked down for 200 days now. Even we are in lockdown now, which is expiring maybe 2nd of September. So if people have seen the other side, they will not be complacent about taking this vaccine. Two, I thank God for the Benue State governor, what he said. And
The Edo State government. You've been away in Melbourne for a long time. You are still thinking of Benue State. The Edo State government has said that by the second week of next month.
All these places, if you are not injected,
yes.
If you are not vaccinated, you are not going anywhere.
Well, so you won't be able to attend public events like religious services and social events.
No, you can't. And this type of act is being carried over here. That some set of Nigerians went to church without observing what they said, and each of them were charged $1,000 each. So look, people should go and take vaccine. That's the way out.
Yeah.
Without that vaccine, we are all deceiving ourselves. This COVID is not going anywhere. Vaccine is what take off polio, is what take off measles, is what take off smallpox. So what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much thank you for calling in, Tony, and giving us also a perspective, an alternative perspective, talking about Australia, right? And indeed, we have been reading. The Aussies don't particularly like it, but they don't have a choice because I think it's a social obligation. Being locked down, all that. Well, this is the one thing that you see. We have a peculiar situation, and doctor, everybody out there knows we can't afford anything like a lockdown, even if that might be what logic might say is necessary. We can't do that. We can't go there. We can't afford it. Government can't afford it. Nobody. They can't give anybody palliatives. They can't. Quite frankly, I think government has said that. Look, we've done all we can for you. We've told you. We keep on saying how it is. We are asking you to please do this to help the effort. You people are insisting on your fundamental human rights and are not doing so. Then let it be. I mean, I'm not saying
no
so.
No government should act that way.
No government should act that way. But
you cannot be given responsibility to take charge of people and say, let it be. No.
Okay. Mr. George, good morning, sir.
Good morning, and good morning to your guest.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Firstly, Uncle Yore, do you blame Saudi Arabia for coming to recruit doctors here? If the country that has the doctors do not value them, those who value them should take them, because there is no law against a country coming to recruit personnel from here. That's just by the way. Uncle Yori, this COVID, this latest version of it, within the past 10 days, there are 2 people that are close to me that have died of COVID. Within the past 10 days. So the message is now sinking. Many people have been, succumbing to conspiracy theories that it is this, it is that. Now people seem to be taking it more seriously. They haven't seen others dying of it. The government has to do something. What the doctor is saying is true. That it is rather difficult to do the registration online. But the time I took my own, when the registration failed, I just walked to the center and I didn't spend 5 minutes before it came to my turn, and I did it.
Yeah. Mr. George, sorry to just interrupt you. That might well have been, that ease with which you were able to get your jab might well have been because of the very low uptake, relatively speaking. If government had said this exercise, just for the sake of talking and just being a bit funny, if government had said everybody was entitled to $1,000 US, at those particular centers. You couldn't have walked in and been out of there in 5 minutes. You know that from the other street is where the traffic jam, the human traffic jam would have started. But here, there are these people who take the view that COVID-19 is not really a concern for them.
Yes, that is true. But you see, people learn by the hard way, so to speak. And that hard way, that hard way is happening now. And it's still the responsibility of the government to devise ways to reach the populace that are learning through the hard way. That's why I'm supporting what the doctor is saying.
Indeed.
That there should be offline methodologies to reach the people to help them. Maybe the other way of saying, okay, just come if you haven't registered. As long as there is evidence that you have not taken the vaccine before, it can be administered. That's what I think the government should do.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. It's also possible, in the light of what you said, Dr. Mebandu, that if the internet penetration and all of that and availability of data services is the way it is, maybe everybody has, well, most everybody has text. Maybe they could devise a way to work with the telcos. Maybe you could send details via text. Government could then take it. It's extra work. They could take it and process it. I don't know. As I said, we would love so much to speak with Professor Akin Abayomi, the Commissioner for Health in Lagos State, but as we said, he's busy. I suppose he is right next to the governor, who is the incident commander in Lagos. He is also very, very high up in that. Lagos being what is it now? One of the epicenters of the place. So he just I don't know. His commissioner. I mean that whole setup had said that we'll see how it goes. If the prof can make it, he will definitely try and break away and come on. But so far, it hasn't happened. I'm being told of another caller. Say that again, please. Oh, okay. Good morning, Mr. Yakub.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Dr. Mebandu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Yakub.
Usually, the Lagos State government is a good example to other states in this country. There is no doubt about it. But I think the Commissioner of Health in Lagos State, I think is listening to this program this morning, and then he's also listening to Dr. Mebandu.
Well, they might not be near TV from otherwise.
If they are not listening, I'm very, very sure, Chief Shori, this program is a wide note to Lagos State government official. I know that some people will tell them that what we are discussing here this morning, they will put it into the here. They will know what is going on. So I have saying that they should listen to Dr. Mebandu, because I have one reason saying that this morning. Chief Shori, I've been telling you that I'm ready to take the vaccine before now. This morning I went to the center. Getting to the center, Chief Shori, I know there that Lagos citizens are ready to take this vaccine. Now, I met people there, and then fortunately for me, I'm number 14. And then there, in presence of me, there was a guy came. And then when we are discussing about the registration or no registration online, this guy was saying that he has no access to Android phone. In fact, he is using this button phone. And then who is going to give him money to buy Android phone? Because he wants to register to take the vaccine.
That's the smartphone. That's the smartphone, not Android necessarily, but a smartphone. It could be iPhone, it could be Android, but the smartphone he needs. And he has what you call the button phone, which is the most basic of phones.
Exactly. What I'm saying in essence is that this guy now says that if they don't allow him to take this vaccine without no register online, you will not allow anybody to take it here. Are you getting what I'm trying to say now? So now, I'm not telling this guy now, approach a nurse there, talk to this nurse. When this thing started, I'm very, very sure they will allow you to do so. If it is good, if they allow him. But failure to allow him to take it is not going to allow anybody to take it. So now, I'm number 14 now. Are you getting it? In fact, I've left the center because we are told that the vaccine is not yet arrived. But immediately he arrives, I have somebody's number there. They call me that this vaccine is here. I should come back. So basically what I'm saying in essence is that the Lagos State government should be able to look into what Dr. Mebandu says this morning.
Indeed.
They should be able to register people manually. Say failure to do so, there's going to be a chaos in that every center. That is what I can tell you for free. Good morning and God bless you, sir.
Well, good morning, Mr. Yakub. Thank you very much. As I said, we still very sorely need to speak with Professor Akin Abayomi, Commissioner for Health in Lagos. We tried to arrange this yesterday, but we were alerted that he was going to be very, very busy on field work. You know, the governor too. You know, so that is what we heard. But some issues have been raised that I imagine, Lagos being the way it is, they will have commentaries, maybe even solutions to some of these matters. But unfortunately for now, we can't talk with them. But our hope is not lost. Before we close the program, it just might be that we might get a window. It might be 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes with Professor Akin Abayomi, Commissioner for Health in Lagos State, we have put him on notice that we'd like to speak with him. I hope the message got to him. But we'll take a break now. We'll be right back to continue with this. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back. And, you know, my guest is Dr. Tuime Bamodu, public health expert, and we're talking about Lagos State resuming the second phase of the anti-COVID-19 campaign with a fresh vaccine. Talking about the Moderna one. Is the Moderna one. We started off with AstraZeneca. The point has been made, both by the governor, the whole incident command center, that those that have only managed to get the first dose of AstraZeneca should please not even think of saying they're going here and now going to take the second one and therefore complete their two. The governor has said that there will shortly be another cargo, another consignment, so to speak, of the AstraZeneca vaccine. So let them wait and don't mix jabs. As I said, we're still hoping that we might be able to talk with Professor Akin Abayomi. Professor Akin Abayomi, but maybe he's so very busy today, the Commissioner for Health. We just would have loved to hear maybe a few words from him, allay some of these fears and concerns, but so far, so good. Doctor, there's the other thing, going to some of the issues. Conspiracy theorists, is that what we want to call them? They are observing that, wait, what is the use of taking this vaccine? Since people that you yourselves tell us in the news have taken the full vaccination, the first and the second, and unfortunately still succumb. So in their book, of what use is the vaccine? What would you say to people who are thinking like that, doctor?
This is the best way to address them, you know, because when you are deploying a medical intervention, there's what we call a failure rate. Every medical in fact, life has a failure rate. Okay, the fact that you're born, some might even live to 100 years, some might just fail even at birth and die. So now, there's nothing that is actually 100% accurate. It's very scarce.
Effective.
Effective. Let's put it, because even if you are looking at family planning, for instance, there's even abstinence. Abstinence is not 100% safe.
Doctor.
We have religious story now. Somebody who never met a man got pregnant.
Okay.
So abstinence, you know. So
okay.
Now, if other ones, like maybe family planning, all sorts have their own failure rate. If you are using seat belts to prevent accident, when the accident happens, the person can still die. But what we are saying is that out of 1,000 people, 100 people that use seat belts during an accident, 90% of them will be okay. And that's what we're targeting. It is very convenient for the brain to look at that, one ninth of a circle that is not complete, and then forget the 9/10 that is complete. So in essence, what we're saying is that the fact that you've taken the vaccine may not be able to give you 100% protection, but you will get 95, you will get 98, depending on which of the vaccines you've taken. So why are people not neglecting that 95, 98% and 91% and focusing on the 5% that is not the same? And then it has even been established that, the severity of infection you are going to get will be less. It won't be as if you've not taken the vaccine at all.
Well, I hear you,
thirdly, there are other confoundities that can kill a person
Okay.
You don't then wake up and say that, listen, I've taken the vaccine now, I'm superhuman. Then my diabetes will go away, my hypertension will go away, other diseases in my body will go away.
So that's
there
why
are complex things that can lead to somebody's death.
That's why doctors are recommending that they should go and take the vaccine. What we also say on the program, that they should consider it. Since we can't, everybody just has to do the responsibility.
The doctors are always with us. You see, if people want to be in a hurry to die, we just keep talking to dissuade them.
Mazi Okoroafo, thank you very much for calling, sir, and for holding on. Go right ahead now, please.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, Mazi.
Doctor, I want to find out from you, now as it stands.
Mazi, I don't know what's happened. The line has it's garbled. Something must have happened. It must be a data issue. Sorry about that, Mazi. See if you can sort of call in again as we await. Maybe we'll be lucky, be able to speak with Professor Akin Abayomi, Commissioner for Health in Lagos State. If not so, maybe there's some director in there that can address, some director of health in there that can address some of these issues. Because as I was saying, I feel so sure that Lagos State would have had a contingency plan for all of these issues.
Yeah, it's not a director's work, because you see, flow of information should come from
but I'm desperate now.
Don't be desperate.
Maybe the incident commander, that's Governor Sanwo-Olu himself. But maybe that's a bit too much in the circumstances. Then I have to think of the Commissioner for Health, and here we are. As I said, I'm not giving up. We might just be able to get some time, because all we want is really, and we set this up since yesterday, the Commissioner, they know. But we were also alerted that, look, we'll see what can be done. Apparently, so far, not as much as we would like, which is to hear from Professor Akin Abayomi about the smooth takeoff of this and what are some of those issues that we need to be reassured about. The other thing, Doctor, is that for those who ironically are making it relatively easy by not joining the queue for the vaccine, in other words, the skeptics, their theory is that along with the vaccine, some nanoparticle or something like that is going to be in there. I was watching a video, something the size of a single grain of salt, and if this were to, enter into your system, these are issues. People will believe what they want to believe and disregard the rest. And this is part of the challenge that we have. But you are saying that even among, Yakub called in and said, I want it, but I'm still having a hard time. You said you tested the system, you tried to register. It wasn't that, you couldn't even make connection. It wasn't
couldn't
easy.
Really get this. This closed down, that closed down, that closed down. Now, let's briefly address the issue of nanoparticles, as the case may be talking about.
Sorry, Mr. DME in Ikorodu has called in. Good morning, Mr. DME.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you for calling in. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, well, to start with, there are gamut of issues on this issue of this vaccine that people are apathetic about. Number one, government has, trust deficits. People don't really trust Nigerian government. You saw the marriage of the president's son. You saw how crowded the place was. You want to tell me that everybody that went to that marriage were vaccinated? You saw the sobaring of Emir of Buchi. You saw the Olu of Warriors, crowning. You saw all of those crowds. Everybody, wherever the government people go, you understand, they don't lead by example. That is the number one problem that we have in Nigeria. Our people who are leading us don't lead by example. You understand? So they have trust deficits. That is number one thing. Number two is that, you see, you have to consider those who don't have access.
Yeah, but sorry, Mr. DME. Sorry, Mr. DME. The issue is that I think we can't stay locked down perpetually. So we're trying to be sort of, I imagine we're opening up, hopefully, carefully, we're opening up society because we just have to coexist with the virus and get on with our lives.
I agree with you. But wherever government officials where government, are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wherever government officials are, and in this COVID time, they must be seen to be following the protocols.
Setting the example.
Seen to be abiding with the protocols.
Okay.
They must be setting the examples. It is not that we will go to the president's, son's marriage, and you see everybody carrying their noses about. You go to the...
Yeah, but quite a number of them were masked.
So,
quite a number of them were masked, it needs to be said. Quite a number of them.
We saw it on the television, sir.
Okay.
Ordinary people in the market will look at if they are going about the way they are. What stops ordinary people from going about? That is, and then I am a retired industrial chemist. There's something that I noticed when I took this vaccine. You understand?
Okay.
That government must address. On the site on which I took jab, I still have it recorded in my phone. You understand? I put things and it's stopped. I am a retired industrial chemist. You understand? Until the pain subsided, things were still talking to the side of the jab. What is happening? Are there electrolytes? Whatever. You understand?
Yeah.
As much as they want to deny it, I am telling you from a personal experience. I still have it recorded in my phone.
Okay.
And people saw it. So you cannot just deny things.
Sorry, sir. Mr. Adeyemi,
I am not supposed to be...
Mr. Adeyemi, what you just told us, your experience when you took the jab, what you just told us was that there was pain at the site of the injection, but it subsided, right?
Yes. After a few days, things stopped talking. In fact, I showed it to a friend of mine. I recorded it. I showed it to a friend of mine who is a professor in the university. Okay. I showed it to my doctor.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Adeyemi. Thank you very much. We have very short time. If Professor Akin Abayomi is going to come on, we have very short time. If he comes on now, he can't speak to us for more than maybe max 5 minutes. But what Mr. Adeyemi is pointing out there, and let me just add for you, doctor, that yeah, when I took my jab as well, there was an ache at the site, and then there was a chill overnight. That was how it affected me. And it subsided. It went away by the second day. Now, the question I want to bring to you is for Mr. Adeyemi and for anybody else who is interested in that lineup. Is that absolutely unexpected?
Pain? Why would anybody not? Even those kind of chills, because what's happened is that you are evoking immune reaction, okay? Because you are trying to stimulate an immune system in readiness for recognition of the coats of the of the crown protein of the virus. So when you need to stimulate the immune system, the body will react in that stimulation.
Okay.
And you have some mild fever, aches, as it is. So it's not unexpected. I'm sure copiously the people at the center should have instructed them and let them appreciate that these are the likely things you might see.
Yes, they did. They did, as far as I was concerned, and had advised that sit down for a while before you leave.
The issue of something getting stuck to the skin of somebody that might have taken the vaccine. Well, you see, if you sit down, it's not about, yes, you can be the best industrial chemist or whatever you are. I'm not disparaging whatever you are. But first of all, sit down and look at the technology of the vaccine. It's open. It's open. Where will you have a metal? Because for you to have a magnetic field
around the site,
around the place, the metal it can't be a nanoparticle. Forget it. It can't be a nanoparticle that will give you a magnetic field that will hold on to any metallic substance. It can't be a nanoparticle. And besides,
we've heard those stories, but they go beyond stories because Mr. Adeyemi was contributing it as his own personal experience, where his arm got...
The simple question is this, okay? Now, even if I have a wet surface, a bit wet surface, and I put something, a tiny pin, it can get stuck.
Okay.
Is it a magnetic experience? What other thing that might have happened that may allow that?
Those ones have to be explored. So sorry to interrupt you. I don't want to miss Tony in the UK who has called in. Good morning, Tony. Tony in the UK.
Jerry.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tony.
Yes, thank you.
Go right ahead, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. I just want to discuss about the vaccine, particularly about Edo State.
Okay, the Edo State news that from the second week of next month, it will start demanding proof of vaccination to enter churches, mosques, and all social events like burials, weddings, and the like.
Yes, please. I'm from Edo State. I live in UK. I am from Benin City. I am from the same street with the governor. I do not agree with you with that unpopular law, because if you look at it, does the governor know where Igbokonio is in Edo State? Is there any vaccination center in that area? And how many vaccines have we gotten since the beginning of this pandemic? And the population of Edo State is about 4 million. If you have a lot of vaccine, you cannot make such law. When you don't have vaccine, why are you comparing people?
I hear you.
In UK, when you go to anywhere and pick it up, nobody compare you. You can only compare people when you have a lot to give us.
Okay.
You don't even have up to 200,000 vaccines. You are asking people not to go to church. You are asking people not to go to that.
No, they didn't say don't go to church. They're saying that they will require, when the time comes, not now, they will require in 2 weeks of the following month, first 2 weeks, they will require that evidence that you have actually been vaccinated. I guess it's all about safeguarding not just the person, but also the rest of the people in such events. But Tony, have you been vaccinated over in the UK?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much for calling in and registering, your perspective on the matter. So how can you bring up that kind of a provision if the vaccine is not commonly available? So the theory, but what he is saying is that you can only do that where the vaccine, as we say locally, full ground, yafun.
Sir, okay, you have a situation. I've told you guys, put on face masks. Don't join crowds. Okay, I've pushed a lot of non-pharmaceutical intervention to help all of us relate. You neglected it. I had to figure out how to keep you away from crowd. Even if I have just one dose of vaccine, I said, listen, guys, don't do crowd unless you have evidence. What I'm doing, achieving essentially, is the same non-pharmaceutical intervention that you guys refuse to comply with ab initio. I don't see anything wrong with that. So there has to be another
way to safeguard the public because they have a responsibility.
Yeah, because when the thing breaks down now, it should be the same governor that everybody will blame me. That people are dying in your state. Well, what can you do? But the guy is thinking ahead and saying that, listen, if you don't have this thing, just keep away.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to.
Fair enough.
We're going to have to leave it here, Dr.